Hello, YouTube land, and welcome to another edition of Putting It Back on the Table, a Renee James production. Family, it's time to fasten those seatbelts for a thrilling adventure of home cooking, featuring culinary instructor Derek J. Snyder. I'm your host, D. Schneid, and tonight the table presents...
Lemon chicken poele in pan reduction sauce over potato squash with spinach. Part 1, the introduction.
This is lemon chicken poele in a pan reduction sauce over potatoes and squash with spinach. Wow, is that quite the mouthful? And what a mouthful it is! Poele is a French cooking method in which you create a sauna-like environment to cook your proteins and produce. Using this method ensures your food will be nice and juicy and cooked to perfection every time. I think we can all agree that a juicy chicken breast or thigh is ideal. I mean, who wants a dry piece of chicken? Well, let me tell you, those mangy dogs, that's who. They don't care. Enough of my jibber-jabbering. Let's get started, shall we?
Lemon chicken poele in pan reduction sauce over potato squash with spinach. Part 2, the ingredients list.
A small bunch of thyme sprigs, 4 cloves of garlic, 2 shallots, 6 baby bellas, medium-sized, a sweet potato, 1 yellow squash, a baby eggplant, some salt and pepper, 2 Meyer lemons, 2 cups of chicken stock, a bag of spinach, some white wine, 4 chicken thighs dried off, 1 knob of butter. A knob of butter is English for 1/4 stick or 2 tablespoons.
Lemon chicken poele in pan reduction sauce over potato squash with spinach. Part 3, the preparation.
Okay, so we're going to cut these into large stew-sized pieces, like we'd find in a beef stew or a chicken stew. But first we're going to start with taking a sweet potato and peeling it. Then we're going to cut it right in half, right down the center. And then we're going to cut those halves in half again. And then we're going to take those halves and we're going to cut them up into the stew-sized pieces like you see right there. Next we're going to do that yellow squash, and basically the same thing. We're just going to slice it down the center, and then slice it down the center of those, and then cut those pieces into nice big stew-sized pieces as well. Next is that baby eggplant. We just top the top off and get rid of that thing, and then again slice it in half, and slice it in half, and slice it in half, and then cut it into pieces. Now the mushrooms. The mushrooms we're going to cut into quarters. We're going to cut it, turn it, cut it, just like that. Cut it, turn it, cut it, and one more time we're going to cut it, turn it, and cut it. Put the mushrooms in a separate bowl, by the way. Now we're going to take the garlic and we're going to give it a pat and kind of smack it a little bit so we can get the skin off of them. We don't want to break the garlic, we want to keep them whole, because we're going to take the garlic and then we're going to cut those into some bite-sized pieces as well, just like this here. And they're going to cook really nice like that, and they're going to be really tender when they come out. Now we're going to do the shallots. The shallots we're going to do much like we did the root vegetables, and that's what we're going to cut the ends off and then slice them down the center, and then we're going to peel them this time. Then once we get them peeled, we're going to cut those into some nice big bite-sized pieces. And we got 2 shallots total to do here, so that was 1. Again, cut the ends off, and then cut it right down the center, and then peel it. And then once you get it peeled, line them side by side there and just chop and chop and chop. All right, the Meyer lemons. We're going to cut the end off and we're going to get rid of that. We don't want that. But we do want these things in nice big fat rings. The reason we want them like that is because they're going to stew in the pot and we don't want them to dissipate. We just want them to release all their juice because we're going to take them out and get rid of them later. So once you get all those cut, put them in a separate bowl and put them to the side.
Lemon chicken poele en pan vidok junzos over potato squash with spinach. But for the cooking,
Okay, so now we're going to get our pan really nice and hot and put some olive oil in it and move it around. Then once you got the olive oil in there, go ahead and crank your heat down to about medium heat. Also, we're going to season up the chicken here with some salt. Then we'll take the chicken, we'll put it skin side down. We don't want to. We're not trying to cook the chicken here. We just want to get the skin nice and crispy for presentation and the way it looks. Once it's in there, we're going to hit it with a little more salt and grind off a little bit of pepper on it. Might as well take advantage of it while we got it right side up like that. Then while it's in there, all that skin's going to start cooking off and releasing some fat. So you want to get a paper towel and some tongs and start soaking up that fat. You got to get that fat out, because what's going to happen is if you leave it in there, then the skin's going to stew instead of get crispy. It's just going to baste in all that fat. And there's a lot of fat, because as I tip the pan here, you can see even more comes in. This is what the third time that I'm getting it out. So now that our skin is crispy, we're going to go ahead and remove all those pieces from the pan, and we'll put them on a plate, and we'll put that plate to the side. And then we're going to put this pan to the side, but don't wash it, because we're going to use it for making the sauce later. Now we're going to start with our pot. So this is poele, which is like we're going to put the chicken in a big sauna, and we want it to sit on a raft. So our raft is going to be all these vegetables, all the root vegetables, the mushrooms, and then we're going to put the herbs down in there and the lemon pieces after that. And then we're going to put our liquid in. We're going to pour our chicken stock in there, and we want to make sure the chicken stock stays under the vegetables. We don't want it to come all the way up to the top, because we want to be able to put the chicken down in there on a dry surface or right on top of the lemons. We don't want the chicken to be touching the liquid at all. Then we're going to cover the chicken with some more herbs and some lemons. But what's going to happen in here is the liquid is going to start to evaporate, and it's going to build like this big sauna and keep circulating over and over. And that's what's going to flavor the chicken. Then we're going to cover it with the pot and stick it in the oven at 400 for 45 minutes. Okay, so our chicken's been in there for 45 minutes at 400, and you can see it's all cooked. And you see the steam coming out. It's very hot in there. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take all the chicken and all the lemon out and put it in this little dish over here, and we're gonna cover that dish, and we're gonna put that dish back into the oven. We're gonna take our oven down to 175, because we don't want to continue cooking the chicken. We just want to keep it hot for service. So after we do that, then we're gonna take all those vegetables out of there, and we're gonna start throwing them on top of the spinach in that other bowl. And those vegetables are hot, and they're gonna start wilting the spinach. You want to mix them around and then put them right next to the chicken back into that oven. My bowl was too small, so I had to get a bigger bowl to mix them. Okay, so now it's time to do the reduction sauce. We're going to use that dirty pan that we used for the chicken earlier, and we're going to put that thyme sprigs from when we cooked the chicken and some white wine into this pan, and we're going to deglaze it. We're going to get all those little bits off the bottom of the pan. We're also going to cook that white wine down to what is called au sec, or kind of almost dry. And then once it gets there, then we're going to take all that liquid that we cooked the chicken in and pour it in there, and we're going to start to reduce that. And how to do that is we're going to bring it to a boil, and then we're going to stir it every now and then, but we want to keep it at a really vigorous boil and just keep moving it down. And once it gets down about halfway, then we'll dump it through a strainer into a small pot just like that. That way we can use the little small pot to try to reduce it some more, a little easier that way. And we'll keep boiling it and stirring it around to make sure it doesn't stick, and keep boiling it and stir it around a little bit more so make sure it doesn't stick. And what we're looking for is kind of like a thin gravy, or kind of like a syrup kind of consistency is what we're looking for. So we're going to take it all the way down to that point. Once we get there, then we're going to take it off the flame, and we're going to hit it with that knob of butter from earlier. And so we'll put the butter in, and then we're going to just swirl it around until it all melts down in there. And that's going to give it a really nice body and a really nice sheen to it. Then we hit it with a little bit of salt and pepper to season it up and make it taste nice. And then we're gonna check it with a spoon by putting a spoon in there and seeing if it coats the spoon. If it coats the spoon, then we're ready to go. From there, we'll put it in a little ramekin and put it to the side. And then we'll take the chicken and the veggies out of the oven, and then we'll plate. Okay, to plate this thing, we're going to take some of that really lovely sauce we just made and put it at the bottom and swirl the plate around to make sure it covers all the edges. Then we'll take a nice pile of the potatoes and the root vegetables and the mushrooms and the spinach and put that on top of the sauce. And then we'll just put a couple of pieces of chicken on there with the skin side up. And then we'll take some more sauce and drizzle it over the top. And then all that's left to do is to put your knife and fork to it.
Lemme chicken poele in een pan de reduction sauce over potato squash with spinach. Pot of 5, bon appetit.
Well, family, was it just me, or does that look pretty darn tasty? Not to mention it was pretty darn easy to make, and very healthy, by most standards if you don't think about the butter. Lemon chicken poele with pan reduction sauce over potatoes and squash with spinach. What will those French think of next? It definitely is a mouthful, a very yummy mouthful. As always, I'm D. Schneid, and I'd like to thank you for partaking in another edition of Putting It Back on the Table. Goodbye, YouTube land.